My master brought back 2 youths from the foot of the mountain to be Tao protectors for my senior sister and me. The older brother had excellent aptitude and was immediately chosen by my senior sister. The younger brother assigned to me, Liu Yun, could barely even channel qi. He was a complete good for nothing. Seeing how pitiful he was, I decided to keep him. To protect him, I risked my life, searching everywhere for life-saving treasures to give him. I even meditated with him daily and fed him marrow-cleansing pills. Until one training expedition, when we were pursued by a demon tide. The teleportation array could only hold one person. Catching me off guard, Liu Yun stabbed me with his sword. As I lay gravely wounded and unable to resist, he escorted my senior sister into the array. Senior sister is the future of the immortal sect. Nothing can happen to her. He looked at me as the demon tide engulfed me, a flicker of pity in his eyes. If there is a next life, I will surely repay you. To hell with a past life. He treated me like dirt in this one. How could he possibly be good to me in the next? In that case, none of us should live. The moment before the teleportation array was about to send my senior sister away, I self-detonated. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day we chose our Tao protectors. Master spoke, "Each of you may choose one to be your Tao protector." I stood there in a daze. My senior sister, Liu Lear, her eyes darting about, had clearly taken a fancy to the older brother's talent. Yet she maintained the dignified and generous facade of the sect's eldest senior sister. "Junior sister, as your senior I should yield to you. You choose first." As she finished speaking, the surrounding elders and a few fellow disciples immediately tried to dissuade her. "Eldest senior sister, you can't let her choose first." "That's right, she's so selfish. What if she picks the talented one?" I sneered. So they all knew the younger brother, Liu Feng, had poor aptitude. But in my past life, when I made my choice, no one had stepped forward to stop me. Master looked down on me from his high seat. "Zheyaling, have you made your choice?" I nodded. I merely walked past the older brother, Ling Feng, without doing anything. But I could see Liu Lear visibly suck in a breath, biting her lip hard. See, she was always like this. Always speaking so magnanimously, yet her heart never matched her words. A desire to tease her arose in me, and I deliberately stopped in front of Ling Feng. But Ling Feng was not willing. "No, I don't want to be her Tao protector." With that, he anxiously knelt before Liu Lear and spoke with reverence. When I was at the foot of the mountain, I often heard of the eldest senior sister's esteemed name. "I wish only to follow you." In an instant, the entire hall fell silent. Someone was the first to laugh. They looked at me with mocking and derisive eyes. Liu Yun, meanwhile, kept his head bowed the entire time. Master's gaze fell upon me, tinged with a hint of helplessness. Liu Lear still wore that look of magnanimous tolerance, like a saint gracing mortals with her presence. She didn't look at Ling Feng, but instead looked at me with a troubled expression. "Junior sister, forcing someone against their will is never." Who said I was going to choose Ling Feng? I didn't spare Ling Feng another glance. I didn't choose him in my past life, and I wouldn't choose him in this one. Master cleared his throat and went along with it. "In that case, Ling Feng will go to Lear, and you can choose Liu Yun." The moment he spoke, Liu Yun's head snapped up to look at me. There was a struggle in his eyes and a trace of unwillingness. I looked away. So unwilling was he. How had I never noticed that in my past life? I fought to suppress the surging hatred and sorrow in my heart. "Master, your disciple wants neither of them." Instantly, the hall fell silent again. Master was stunned for a moment, then he rebuked me angrily. "Nonsense. A Tao protector is a vital aid on the path of cultivation. How can you be so willful?" Liu Lear also frowned and tried to persuade me. "Junior sister, don't act on a whim." I am not acting on a whim. I met everyone's gaze and said seriously. Ling Feng's heart is with senior sister, so I naturally won't force him to stay. As for Liu Yun, I paused, glancing at the youth who kept his head bowed as if none of this concerned him. His aptitude is poor. Keeping him by my side would only hold me back. My words left everyone speechless. That Liu Yun was a good-for-nothing was a fact everyone tacitly acknowledged. The words on the tip of Liu Lear's tongue were all swallowed back. She probably never expected that I, who had always been soft-hearted, would pull a move like this. Her feigned generosity was based on the certainty that my soft heart would lead me to choose the good-for-nothing. It was a way to completely suppress me and make a fool of me. Liu Yun's head shot up, his eyes filled with disbelief and confusion, along with some other emotion I couldn't decipher. "Then Liu Yun," someone began hesitantly. I seized the opportunity. Then let him also be the eldest senior sister's Tao protector. Doesn't Liu Yun admire the eldest senior sister? In this life, I'll grant you your wish. But the eldest senior sister was unwilling. Why would she want a good-for-nothing, following her around? In our past life, she had been so caring and gentle towards Liu Yun. It was only because she wanted to steal everyone who was close to me. Now that I was out of the picture, why would she waste her efforts on Liu Yun? Seeing that she was about to refuse, I added, "This youth is pitiful. If senior sister doesn't take him, he'll have to be sent back to the demon realm. Senior sister has always been kind. Surely you wouldn't have the heart." That's settled then. Liu Yun, why haven't you thanked the eldest senior sister? After my round of moral blackmail, Liu Lear could only grit her teeth and accept Liu Yun. I thought Liu Yun would be happy, but he wasn't. He stood rooted to the spot, like a withered tree that had lost most of its life, his eyes fixed only on me. Struggle, confusion, and a trace of hidden pain churned in his gaze. With the matter settled, I turned and walked out of the main hall. Behind me, I heard the elders praising Liu Lear for her profound righteousness, while Liu Yun, the person in question, showed no reaction at all. I took a deep breath and quickened my pace. In the days that followed, I devoted myself entirely to cultivation. I made up for all the training I had neglected in my past life to take care of Liu Yun. And just as I expected, Liu Lear poured all her attention and the best resources onto Ling Feng. As for Liu Yun, he received nothing but beatings and scoldings. Every day, Liu Yun trailed behind them, forced to do the most strenuous labor. Tasks that should have been done by servants were now all his. One day, I was passing by the training grounds. I happened to see Liu Lear and Ling Feng practicing a dual sword form. Their coordination was flawless, their progress swift, drawing admiration from many disciples. And Liu Yun was silently tidying up scattered sword tassels off to the side. A troublemaker deliberately bumped into him. The tassels in Liu Yun's arms scattered all over the ground. The person mocked him, useless trash as expected. He glared fiercely at the person, but didn't retort. Inadvertently, his eyes met mine. He froze, looking as if he wanted to chase after me and say something. I didn't give him the chance. I mounted my sword and flew away. I found my master in the back mountains. "Master, your disciple wishes to go down the mountain for training." "Approved." Master didn't even ask where I was going. He had never cared much for me. If it had been Liu Lear, Master would have surely given her a long list of instructions and prepared numerous life-saving treasures for her. Master's heart was biased. This time, going down the mountain, there was something I had to do. 2 years later, I returned from my training. I arrived just in time for the sect's grand competition. Liu Lear's talent was exceptional. She was the praised genius of the sect. With a mountain of resources backing her, she was leagues ahead of her peers. As for me, my aptitude was mediocre. The only reason Master had taken me in was because Liu Lear needed a playmate. In the competition, Liu Lear defeated everyone in her path. In the final round, her opponent was me. On the eve of the match, Liu Yun stopped me. "You should forfeit." "Why? She treats you with such disdain, yet you still want to help her." I asked with a smile. Compared to 2 years ago, the boyish immaturity had faded from Liu Yun's face. His talent was actually extraordinary. In our past life, when the demon tide came, he had single-handedly slain the demon lord to protect Liu Lear. Only then did I learn that he was an immortal from the upper realm, reincarnated to undergo a heavenly trial, his talent supreme. An immortal's trial is a heavenly secret. His identity could not be exposed. That was why he had remained indifferent, no matter how much danger I was in. Yet for Liu Lear, he was willing to risk the failure of his trial to ensure her safety. Liu Yun pressed his lips together, a look of helplessness on his face. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "I don't know what fortuitous encounter you've had. You are indeed beyond my expectations, but the champion of this competition can only be the eldest senior sister." I understood, so he was afraid I would steal Liu Lear's thunder. As expected of a reincarnated immortal, his insight was truly sharp. Even Master couldn't see anything unusual about me, but Liu Yun could tell at a glance. Liu Yun continued, "Be good, don't make things difficult for me." I suddenly laughed. "Didn't you say you were going to repay me?" He looked at me, the hidden pain and struggle in his eyes nearly overflowing. "I will make it up to you in the future. This time you just..." A cold glint flashed in my eyes. I channeled energy into my palm, and Liu Yun was sent flying several meters away. He didn't dare reveal his identity now, his power deliberately suppressed. How could he be a match for me? Liu Yun coughed up a mouthful of blood, his face deathly pale. Ling Feng rushed over, pointing his sword at me. "Junior sister, why did you harm my brother?" I tilted my head and struck out with another palm. Ling Feng was slammed violently against a stone pillar. I could even hear the sound of his bones cracking. Liu Yun crawled over to help Ling Feng up, turning to look at me in shock. That day, I was summoned by my master. Master sat on the high seat, his fingers tapping lightly, his sharp gaze sweeping over me. "Wicked disciple Zhealing, do you know your crime? Your disciple does not." I stood in the center of the hall, my back straight. The two Tao protectors showed insubordination. As their senior sister, what is wrong with me teaching them a lesson? "Junior sister, you're twisting the truth." Tears welled in Liu Lier's eyes, but her tone was laced with urgency and disappointment. "They are kind and understand the bigger picture. How could they possibly offend you?" As she spoke, a crushing pressure descended. It was Master. Like a mountain, it pinned me to the spot. A piercing pain surged through my meridians, and I almost fell to my knees. But I would not. I clenched my teeth, circulated my spiritual energy, and resisted the pressure. "Master, your disciple is not wrong." I managed to force out the words, then quickly produced a recording stone. The recording stone floated in the air. It clearly projected the scene that had just occurred. Liu Yun's words, "The champion can only be the eldest senior sister," were recorded without missing a single syllable. Following that was the scene of Ling Feng insubordinately pointing his sword at me. The hall fell into a dead silence. The expression on Liu Lier's face froze. Her lips trembled, but she couldn't utter another word. She never expected that I would carry a recording stone with me. Even less did she expect Liu Yun to say something so thoughtless. She only knew that I had injured her Tao protectors. She wasn't concerned about their injuries, but it was an excellent opportunity to suppress me. Master's pressure suddenly retracted. Even if Lier's Tao protectors were a bit out of line, you still struck them. Let this matter end here. I couldn't help but laugh. If it were the eldest senior sister who had been treated this way, would you still say, "Let this matter end here"? Master's face turned completely grim, and an even colder, more powerful pressure washed over me. I still held on, refusing to kneel. My internal organs felt as if they were being torn apart and crushed, an agony beyond description. "Send Zhealing to the astral wind cliff until the grand competition begins," Master said mercilessly. I was released the day before the competition. When I came out, my body was covered in wounds, a bloody mess. One couldn't use spiritual energy on the astral wind cliff, where astral winds raged. Only those who had committed grave crimes were imprisoned there. Master was truly cruel to me. I had just returned to my small courtyard when the gate was broken open. It was Liu Yun. His aura was turbulent, his face twisted with a paranoia and madness I had never seen before. "You cannot participate in this competition." "On what grounds?" I stared at him intently. "Linger, I have my reasons," he said, his eyes looking as if they were weeping blood. Seeing that I was still defiant, Liu Yun sighed. "Liu Lier has Master's support, and the elders are all biased towards her. If you win, you will only invite their jealousy and retaliation." "So what?" I laughed, and blood welled up in my throat. "Even if I have to risk my life, I will not watch you all live in glory, just like in the last life." His pupils contracted, clearly remembering my self-detonation. He suddenly grabbed my wrist, his hand trembling slightly, his eyes filled with pain. "Zhealing, you can't beat Liu Lier. When this is all over, I will give you an explanation." Without waiting for my reaction, he spun around and struck my chest with his palm. Caught off guard, I fainted. In the moment before my consciousness faded completely, I saw Liu Yun looking at me. His eyes were bloodshot, like a cornered beast in its death throes. "I'm sorry, but I have to help her. It's what I owe her." I awoke in the demon realm, surrounded by hideous demonic creatures. They opened their massive jaws, gnawing and tearing at my body. "So delicious. Cultivators are truly tasty. She smells so fragrant, the most fragrant cultivator I've ever encountered. Why does her aura feel a little familiar?" The sharp, dense pain of my flesh being torn away spread through me. I tried to use my spiritual energy to drive them away, but my energy was sealed. How ruthless, how truly cruel to me. Amidst the excruciating pain of being devoured by the demonic creatures, I suddenly remembered something from a training expedition in my past life. I had been attacked by a demonic creature and fallen off soul-severing cliff. At the bottom of the cliff, I had seen a smooth, warm piece of jade. At the time, I thought it was just an ordinary stone and casually tossed it into my storage pouch. Later, in the instant of my self-detonation, that jade had transformed into a stream of light and entered my soul. Only then did I realize it was the complete ancient immortal text, the Nine Heavens profound classic, a relic left by a true immortal. Unfortunately, I learned this far too late. In this life, I had gone out for training specifically to find this jade. Everyone in the sect knew my aptitude was mediocre, but no one knew that hidden within my meridians was an unawakened immortal bone. Ordinary cultivation techniques couldn't activate it, but the Nine Heavens profound classic happened to resonate perfectly with the aura of the immortal bone within me. It was as if it were tailor-made for me. Now, as the demonic energy poured into my wounds, it became a catalyst for the classic. The demonic energy was purified by the golden light emanating from the classic, turning into the purest form of spiritual energy. It then nourished my own body. How profound! I snapped my eyes open. The demonic creatures still gnawing on me instantly turned to dust, not even having time to scream. Within my danshin, a wisp of profound energy, entirely different from ordinary spiritual power, was slowly rising. It was immortal essence. I stood in the empty demon realm. Liu Yun, you have truly disappointed me. That was the last chance I gave him. Since he couldn't grasp it, he could live to regret it. On the day of the grand competition, the bell of the trial grounds rang. Liu Lear stood on the stage, smiling and radiant. Below the stage, the crowd was full of snide remarks. Why isn't Jialing here yet? Is she scared? Probably afraid of losing, right? After all, everyone knows she's a good-for-nothing. The eldest senior sister is so unlucky to have such a disgraceful junior sister. Liu Lear's long lashes drooped, her face a mask of concern. Junior sister might have been delayed by something. Let's not speculate, lest we harm our fellowship. Below the stage, Ling Feng's face was filled with hatred. The chest wound I had given him a few days ago still ached faintly, and he spoke through gritted teeth. That good-for-nothing definitely doesn't dare to come. Ling Feng had always looked down on me, thinking my aptitude was mediocre. Now that I had beaten him so badly, his heart seethed with hatred. Beside him, Liu Yun said nothing. He stood in the crowd, his face impassive, but the tight line of his lips betrayed his inner turmoil. I had been thrown into the demon realm, a place teeming with demonic energy. Logically, he shouldn't be so worried, but his heart still ached with a dull pain. He remembered that day, when his palm struck me, the flash of understanding and coldness in my eyes. On the high platform, Master frowned slightly. Jialing is not present, she will be considered to have forfeited. A flicker of dark joy crossed Liu Lear's eyes, quickly replaced by a look of regret and worry. Master, perhaps junior sister is just held up. Let's wait a little longer. There's no need. Master interrupted her. The thought of me filled his eyes with disgust. Your junior sister is hopeless. Lear, you are this year's champion. You. Who said I was absent? Instantly, the entire arena fell silent. My voice suddenly came from above. It wasn't loud, but it carried clearly throughout the entire venue. Everyone's gaze shot towards me in unison. Liu Yun whipped his head around, his heart skipping a beat. I walked slowly onto the stage, still wearing the plain disciple's uniform, though the hem was stained with dark blood. My face was devoid of color, but my back was ramrod straight. As my cold gaze swept over the crowd, even the air seemed to chill. Liu Yun ran over. Are you all right? He saw the bloodstains on my clothes. It was clear I had been through a vicious battle. Liu Yun swallowed hard, not daring to imagine what had happened. How could this be? You're a high-level cultivator with spiritual energy protecting you. Ordinary demonic creatures. What if my spiritual energy was sealed? I looked at Liu Yun. There was no resentment in my eyes, only indifference. As if Liu Yun were a complete stranger. Liu Yun's breath caught in his throat. A flash of panic crossed Liu Lear's eyes. Junior sister, what happened? Did you offend someone? HMPH, she always acts without restraint. It's only right that she'd attract enemies seeking revenge, Master said with disgust. I ignored Master's taunt and fixed my gaze on Liu Lear. Liu Lear's eyes darted away. I spoke in a calm tone. Let's begin. Liu Lear never imagined that I hadn't died, that I was standing here perfectly fine. I walked past Liu Yun and went straight to the competition stage. On the stage, Liu Lear was a vision in snow-white robes, as pure as the moon and wind. Junior sister, you should concede. I don't wish to harm you. Her words drew a round of applause from the crowd. Seeing me approach, she put on that compassionate expression again. Junior sister, why must you be so stubborn? Is the champion's title really that important? Every word she spoke painted me as ambitious and materialistic. This incited another round of mockery and ridicule from the crowd. I raised an eyebrow, and my longsword left its sheath. "Senior sister, please enlighten me." "Very well, since you insist, then I won't be polite." As she spoke, Liu Lear tapped her toes. The longsword in her hand carried a sharp sword chi as it thrust towards me. The move was exquisite, clearly the result of expert guidance. But the spiritual energy was superficial, lacking depth, a clear sign it had been built up with countless pills. Waves of admiration rose from below the stage. The eldest senior sister is truly in a league of her own among our generation. How can that good-for-nothing Zheyaling possibly block that? I bet she can't even block a single move. Ling Feng also sneered, as if he could already see me defeated and weeping. Only Liu Yun stood with his hands clenched tightly, his pupils constricted. He could clearly feel a faint, almost imperceptible aura coming from me. This aura gave him a familiar, heart-pounding sensation. I faced the sword attack head-on. Only when the sword chi was inches away did I raise my own sword. There were no fancy moves, just a single swing. A vast wave of immortal essence silently erupted. Liu Lear's spiritual energy, crashing against my immortal essence, was like a mayfly trying to shake a tree. The longsword flew from her hand. She staggered back several steps, nearly losing her footing. The entire arena was silent. A moment later, a collective gasp erupted. How is that possible? What just happened? The eldest senior sister is no match for the junior sister. Liu Lear was shocked and furious. How could she, a good-for-nothing, possess such strength? A venomous look flashed in her eyes, and she recklessly took a pill from her storage ring. The moment the pill entered her mouth, Liu Lear's spiritual energy surged, a forbidden technique. Since it's come to this, don't blame me for being ruthless. Although this was a clear violation of the rules, no one stopped her. Liu Lear lunged at me again, her moves vicious, each one aimed to kill. My expression didn't change. Liu Lear had always been this kind of person, seemingly gentle, but in reality, ruthless and willing to do anything to achieve her goals. But this time, I wouldn't let her have her way. My figure flickered. I moved like a phantom, evading all her attacks. At the same time, I rapidly condensed immortal essence in my hand and swung it effortlessly. Liu Lear's spiritual energy instantly dissipated, and she was slammed heavily to the ground, a pathetic sight. Liu Yun's pupils contracted violently. He finally recognized it. It was immortal essence. I didn't stop there. My sword was about to pierce Liu Lear's heart-protecting mirror. Just then, a figure appeared out of thin air, blocking my path to Liu Lear. It was Liu Yun. A black longsword had appeared in his hand, steadily blocking my own. The two swords clashed, emitting a low hum. "Stop Zheyaling, you shouldn't be so obsessed." He looked at me, his eyes filled with complex emotions. I suddenly laughed, so hard that tears almost came out. "Liu Yun, is she worth it? Worth you risking your life to protect her?" He faltered, his grip on the sword loosening. "Now." I twisted my wrist, changing the direction of my sword. The tip of my blade bypassed Liu Yun's and stabbed straight towards Liu Lear's heart. The move was fast and ruthless. The crowd had no time to react. Master tried to stop me, but was horrified to find he couldn't get close. I had set up a barrier specifically for this old fool, knowing he would interfere. "No," Liu Yun roared. He threw his own body in the way. "Pache." The longsword sank into flesh. A deathly silence fell over the scene. Everyone was stunned by the sudden turn of events. No one had ever imagined that I, with my mediocre aptitude, could defeat Liu Lear, the eldest senior sister of the sect, who was considered the most promising candidate for ascension. Ling Feng charged forward like a madman, shielding Liu Yun. "You cheated, you bitch. You must have used some evil art." I glanced at them, and both Ling Feng and Liu Yun were sent flying. When Liu Yun landed, he was still clutching his chest where a gash had been torn open, his gaze on me complex. "Why on earth did you? And why did you?" My tone was icy. I had never understood why Liu Yun was so determined to protect Liu Lear. His throat moved, but in the end, he said nothing more. At that moment, Master finally broke through the barrier and rushed over. "Zheyaling, how dare you, to your own master." He didn't dare continue. After all, being unable to break his own disciple's barrier was deeply humiliating. I turned to face Master, my eyes sharp. "Master, this is the last time I will call you that. From this day forward, I am no longer your disciple." Master was stunned, his face alternating between green and white. The elders also began to chime in, trying to persuade me. They had seen my strength, and their attitudes had naturally changed. Zheling, don't be rash. Yes, you are a great talent for the sect. Do you have some grievance? You can tell us. I sneered. Grievance? It was too late to ask that question now. The championship of this competition is mine. My gaze fell on Liu Lear, full of scorn. In truth, in our past life, we shouldn't have met with disaster. It was Liu Lear's greed. She insisted on stealing a demon egg. But no one knew that the egg contained the son of the demon lord. That was what triggered the demon tide. Most importantly, I remembered she had a teleportation artifact given to her by Master. She could have saved us. But to cover up the fact that she had caused the demon tide by stealing the egg, she wanted to silence us. That's why she delayed taking out the artifact. I had no choice but to use all my spiritual energy to create a temporary teleportation array. But that damn Liu Yun took the opportunity to gravely injure me. They still dreamed of sending Liu Lear away. In my despair, I could only self-detonate, taking everyone with me. Impossible, it must be you. You must have done something. How could you possibly beat me? Liu Lear screamed like a madwoman. For the first time, Master felt his eldest disciple was so disgraceful. I said nothing, merely taking out the recording stone again. The image that appeared was the entire process of me being ambushed by Liu Yun and thrown into the demon realm. The crowd gasped. In the recording, just as Liu Yun was about to send me into the demon realm, Liu Lear appeared. She still wore that compassionate, bodhisattva-like expression. Liu Yun, I understand. My junior sister is too ambitious and her talent is too poor. If we don't stop her, I'm afraid something terrible will happen. Liu Yun didn't speak, only looked down at my unconscious form. Liu Lear continued. Never mind, let me do it. She's still injured. I'll heal her wounds before sending her to the demon realm. Liu Yun nodded and turned to leave. The moment Liu Yun's figure disappeared, Liu Lear's face completely changed. Her suddenly twisted face was displayed clearly for all to see. Oh, junior sister, why did you have to compete with me? You should have just been my stepping stone, but you just wouldn't give up. With that, she first checked to make sure I wasn't carrying a recording stone. Then she took out a black bottle from her storage ring. It contained spirit-dissolving powder. But how could she have known that my cultivation was already far beyond hers? How could she possibly find the recording stone I had concealed? She forced all of the spirit-dissolving powder into my mouth. Without your spiritual energy to protect you, you can just die in the demon realm. After doing all this, she stood up, satisfied, and reverted to her usual compassionate demeanor. I put the recording stone away, but the crowd had yet to react, everyone frozen as if under a spell. After a few seconds of stillness, an uproar erupted. Heavens, she's that kind of person. She looks so kind and compassionate, but she's so venomous behind the scenes. Spirit-dissolving powder, that's meant to completely annihilate the junior sister. Ling Feng struggled to his feet, the blood drained from his face. He had never imagined that the living bodhisattva, who had saved him, and his brother was such a person. Ling Feng turned to look at me, wanting to say something, but no words came out. Liu Yun's body swayed. He clutched his bleeding chest, but it felt as if his heart had also been pierced, the pain making it almost impossible to breathe. So the person he had been desperately protecting was such a two-faced woman. Liu Lear was completely panicked. She shrieked her defense. It's fake, it's a forgery, that bitch forged it. But as she spoke, her neck was seized by Liu Yun. His eyes were filled with hatred. Why did you do it? Didn't I promise to help you? Why did you still have to be so ruthless? Go away, all of you go away. Liu Lear cried and struggled, but she couldn't escape Liu Yun's grasp. Liu Yun threw her aside, his eyes surging with killing intent. I watched Liu Yun coldly, as if watching a buffoon. Master stood on the high platform, his expression shifting uncertainly. He knew he favored Liu Lear. It was only because he saw her as the future of the sect. But now that such a scandal had erupted, he, as her master, would become a laughingstock. At this thought, Master was filled with rage. He raised his hand, and a surge of spiritual energy filled with killing intent gathered in his palm, striking towards Liu Lear. Master, spare me. Liu Lear had just started to get up from the ground when she felt Master's killing intent. Ling Feng, meanwhile, collapsed to the ground, his face ashen. Liu Yun didn't look at her, he only looked at me. As Master's palm struck, Liu Lear's scream was cut short. Her body went limp and fell, completely still. The arena was dead silent, with only the rustling sound of the wind. Liu Lear's body lay limp on the ground, the smell of blood filling the air. I am leaving the sect. My voice was devoid of emotion. Several elders hurriedly tried to persuade me. Their attitudes had long lost their former disdain. Zhealing, the sect has wronged you in this matter. We will compensate you. Yes, your talent is extraordinary. You will have a better future if you stay. Future? I curled my lip in a sneer. My future does not belong in this den of filth. My words left them all speechless. Master's face was dark, but he didn't dare say much. I snorted coldly and walked off the competition stage. As I passed Liu Yun, he tried to grab the hem of my dress. I sidestepped him. Zhealing, can you forgive me? I really didn't know she was that kind of person. I was only repaying a debt of gratitude. She once saved my life in the demon realm. I understood. So that was it. How ridiculous. But none of it mattered anymore. I looked down at him as if he were an ant. Liu Yun, you will pay the price for your actions. He probably didn't understand yet. The sword thrust that had pierced his chest just now was not as simple as it looked. The moment I stabbed him, I had infused a trace of immortal essence onto the blade. It clashed perfectly with the immortal soul within him. For an immortal undergoing a trial, the greatest fear is an unstable soul. A single misstep could lead to becoming a fallen immortal. This clashing immortal essence within him would constantly obstruct his cultivation. It would increase the difficulty of his trial by more than tenfold. I leaned close to his ear. I can't kill you, but I can certainly obstruct your trial. In his past life, he had disregarded my life to repay his debt to Liu Lear. So I would let him taste the bitterness of a failed trial. Hearing this, Liu Yun froze. He looked down at the wound on his chest, which was still bleeding, and understood something. Instantly, his eyes filled with terror and despair. You. I didn't answer. I left the sect. As soon as I left, the scandal about Liu Lear spread throughout the cultivation world like wildfire. The Qingyun sect, once regarded as the #1 sect under heaven, became the target of public condemnation due to its eldest senior sister's persecution of a fellow disciple. Other sects watched the drama unfold, calling my master blind and foolish. Rogue cultivators turned the incident into a running joke. To save face, the sect master punished my former master and several elders who had favored Liu Lear. But it was all in vain. The sect's reputation was in tatters, making it difficult to even recruit new disciples. Once bustling with visitors, it now stood desolate. It was 10 years later that I met Liu Yun again. As I had expected, that trace of immortal essence had become his nightmare. His cultivation had not progressed but regressed. He was gaunt and haggard, like a soulless ghost. Lingert, he stumbled towards me. I've finally found you. What do you want? I looked at him coldly. Tears of blood streamed from Liu Yun's eyes. I once thought I only felt guilty towards you, but these 10 years without seeing you have been agony. I know you hate me. I tried to kill myself, but Ling Feng saved me. Ling Feng said that only by living do I have a chance to beg for your forgiveness. Liu Yun's body trembled like a leaf in the wind. He suddenly covered his mouth and coughed violently, spitting up blood foam. Do you know, Zhealing? Every time I try to focus on my cultivation, that trace of immortal essence tears at my meridians and gnaws at my immortal soul. But I deserve it. It was me who, for the sake of repaying a debt, disregarded your life and personally pushed you to the demonic creatures. Zhealing, I've been dreaming lately of you being engulfed by the demon tide, of your despairing self-detonation. I regret it so much. Liu Yun covered his eyes and wept bitterly, a liquid streaming from between his fingers. Impossible to tell if it was tears or blood. I'm sorry. When you watched me protect Liu Lear back then, how much pain must you have been in? 1,000, 10,000 times more painful than what I've endured these past 10 years, right? The wind blew through his hair, revealing the white at his temples, a sign of premature aging. His voice was broken. Can you forgive me? Looking at his pathetic state, I found it laughable. I gently pulled my hand away from his. No, never. Some debts cannot be repaid simply with regret. I lifted a finger slightly. The immortal essence I had left in his body surged violently. Liu Yun immediately curled up in pain, his face pale. He still stared at me greedily, as if afraid I would disappear. I suddenly asked him, do you know what fortuitous encounter I had? Liu Yun was stunned. He had indeed been very curious about that. I stared at him intently. It was the 9 Heavens profound classic. Hearing this, Liu Yun's pupils constricted as if he had been struck by lightning. He knew better than anyone who that scripture came from. It was from the war goddess, the 9 Heavens Xuanu, who had once saved the three realms from a great calamity and ultimately perished. She was also the divine being who had guided him onto the path of cultivation. I looked at him with pity. From the Nine Heavens profound classic, I had seen the entire truth. When the war goddess fell, her soul returned to the void, but a remnant of her soul remained in an immortal bone, which fell to the mortal world. I was formed from that immortal bone. I am a part of the war goddess, her successor. I was meant to inherit the war goddess's mantle and protect the three realms. But in my past life, I was blind and foolish, and I was harmed by a villain. With every word I spoke, Liu Yun's face grew a shade paler. You said Liu Lear once saved you. But what you don't know is that the one who saved you and your brother in the demon realm back then was not her at all. It was the immortal bone within me that recognized you and spontaneously circulated its immortal essence to save your life. Liu Lear just happened to be nearby and took the credit. The truth was cruel, like a sharp sword piercing Liu Yun's last line of defense. He staggered backward, a sweet taste rising in his throat. No, it can't be. The war goddess sacrificed herself to save the world, but her disciple, for the sake of a hypocrite, personally killed her successor. I looked him straight in the eye, my words like daggers. Liu Yun, you are unworthy of being an immortal. By obstructing your trial, I am cleaning house for our master. As I finished speaking, thunder rumbled in the sky. It was the heavenly Tao responding. It approved of my actions. Liu Yun collapsed to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. He wanted to say something, but in the end, all that came out was a sigh. Later, I heard that Liu Yun sat withered before the stone wall, where we had met again for 30 years. He eventually died during a lightning tribulation. Some said he had done too many bad things and received heavenly retribution. Others said he had lost the will to live and gave up resisting. Ling Feng came to collect his body. He inadvertently learned the truth of what had happened all those years ago. Overnight, Ling Feng's Tao heart shattered, and a heart demon was born. This once famous Tao protector, after his brother's death, fell forever to the demonic path, shunned by the world. As for me, I inherited the mantle of the Nine Heavens Xuanu, slaying demons and monsters. 100 years later, I became the only person in nearly a millennium to achieve ascension. On the day of my ascension, I saw my former master from a distance. His hair was completely white, and his entire being exuded an air of dejection. He looked up, his eyes reflecting my figure amidst the boundless rosy clouds. His lips trembled, wanting to approach, yet not daring to. After the incident, my former master was stripped of his elder status and became a disgrace to the King Yun sect. I heard he would go to the small courtyard where I used to live every day and just sit for a while. He wouldn't do anything, just stare into space. I turned and stepped through the heavenly gate. As the rosy light of ascension pierced the clouds, a woman in golden armor appeared at the edge of the radiance. Her eyes were as calm as an ancient, unchanging frozen lake. It was the Nine Heavens Xuanu. You've finally come.